What's up, YouTube? So, Zion Williamson busted out of his shoe. Literally busted out of his shoe. So, before we get started, on First Take, they're going to be talking about how Zion Williamson busted out of his shoe. So, I know this is a little bit old. It's about a week old, but I still would like to comment on it. Zion Williamson busted out of his shoe during the game. He was running, making a cut, and his foot, like, literally ripped through the bottom of his shoe, which is, like, unheard of. That's crazy. So let's see what they have to say.
Obviously, it's not a good look for the iconic brand Nike. We are obviously concerned and want to wish Zion a speedy recovery. The quality and performance of our products are of utmost importance. While this is an isolated occurrence, we are working to identify the issue. Max, how bad of a look?
So to tell you the truth, when I saw the video of Zion Williamson busted out of his shoe, I didn't think that now there's a problem with Nike or the Nike shoes are garbage or, you know, the quality has gone down. That's not what I thought. The first thing I thought was like, wow, this guy busted out. Did his foot just bust out of his shoe? Did his foot just bust out of his shoe? What is that? You know, I don't think at all it's a knock on the quality of Nikes. You know, I've never seen that before. I think all it is he just happened to get that one defective shoe that, you know, was weak at the bottom or whatever situation is. I think it's like just like you might buy a can of soda or you might buy something that, you know, it was messed up in the machine. It was slightly defective. And he just happened to have that type of shoe. He just happened to have that shoe. You know, I don't think it's a knock on Nike at all. If anything, he's a legend now. If he doesn't do anything in the NBA or anything at all, he is going to be the legend at Duke that runs so hard, so big, and so strong that he busts out of his shoe. He bust out of his shoe. I've never seen that before. You know, I've worn shoes for a long time. I know other people wearing shoes for a long time. And Nikes, I'm a Nike head. I've never had that type of problem. Now, I know Nikes do make some cheap shoes. You know, some cheap ones that they sell, you know, at, I don't know, whatever little store. But, you know, they sell good Nikes at Foot Locker for like $100+. The Air Maxes. You know, I'm an Air Max guy. Like I said, I'm a Nike head. And I've never had my foot even remotely bust through a shoe. Not even close. Not even close. But, you know, I know they do make some cheap shoes and eventually they'll probably wear out faster or slower than other shoes. But I don't know. But let's hear what they have to say.
Look, is this for the Nike brand?
It couldn't be worse, let's face it. And by the way, I suppose that could happen to any sneaker. Who knows? Like, a lot of this may be the kind of stress that Zion Williamson puts on a sneaker. He's 285 and made of rock, right? And yet he's fast, twitchy, and leaps and stops on a dime. So, like, it's understandable. But let's face it, guys.
Yeah, so you can't really knock Nike. I mean, obviously, they make a good product. They have sponsored colleges all over the place. You know, football, basketball, baseball, everything. And then pro sports. You know, guys are wearing Nikes all over the place that are 300 pounds and cuts and doing all types of stuff. So, you know, Nike is a good quality product. So that's not a knock on them. I can't knock them for that. You know, but just the fact that it's just crazy. It's just crazy. Let's keep on hearing what they have to say. Look at that shoe, though. Oh, it's crazy.
Points out several things. One, these sneaker companies have deals with schools and these kids have to wear the equipment. As Jalen Rose pointed out on Get Up this morning, the next time Zion Williamson steps on a court for Duke, he's going to have to put that same brand sneaker on that just exploded on his foot. So it points out the kind of hypocrisy, the fact that he's not getting paid, that he may be jeopardized by equipment. The argument could be made. I'm not making it, but certainly
Well, that is true, Max, that he does have to put the same equipment on, and if he did get hurt, if he blew out his knee or something, he can never play again. It would be because of that product. So, you know, what would happen with that? What would happen if he got hurt because the shoe folded and he tore up his knee and now he can't play in the NBA? How would that work out? But that's a whole nother story, really, of, you know, them being paid, and he shouldn't have to be one and done. He should be able to go straight to the NBA. That's another story. But that is absolutely crazy that he's going to have to wear these shoes again, which I don't think they're worried. They're not scared, you know, because like I said, Nike's all over the place. I don't think shoes are exploding all over the place from Nike. So I think they'll be okay. But let's hear what else they have to say.
it could have that appearance, and yet he has to put it right back on if he wants to continue to play. And then also, come on, it's been well documented. There's been a lot made through the years of the fact that in developing countries, a lot of these sneakers, Nike sneakers, have been produced. It costs them something like $1 to make. They sell them, in the inner city in this country to aspiring basketball players and people who just want to be like the basketball players.
And it is true that is another issue too with Nike that I don't quite like, but I still buy them. That they do have their shoes are made with cheap labor in these third world countries. So you might get a shoe that's made for like what Max said for $1, but here in America and other countries, they could be sold for $150, for $150, and it costs them $1 to make. That's kind of a problem. But you can't be mad. You can't mad. That's good business right there. If I could find somebody to make my product extremely cheap, and I pay them pennies on a dollar, and then I can go sell them somewhere for $150, $200, that's just good business. I can't be mad at that. Let's keep going.
For $100 a pair, right? And so this also puts a spotlight on that. Like, whoa, how are these shoes made? I know, like with designer sneakers that are a lot of money, I prefer wearing name brand sneakers like Nike or Asics or something because they've put so much money into designing. That's all they do. They design sneakers. They know how to make your foot feel good. That's their core business, right? But also they're made inexpensively. And when something like this happens, it points it out. It is a terrible look for Nike.
It's a bad look for Nike. According to reports, their stock has dropped about 1%. The thing that I found funny about it, Will, and I'll say this. We know that Duke and Mike Krzyzewski have a deal with Nike. What did you hear Mike Krzyzewski saying in the press conference? It was Mike Krzyzewski that brought up the fact that it wasn't the first time he had seen Zion Williamson, struggling with his footing to some.
So we all know that's going to happen, right? He's an athlete. He's running around. Sometimes the basketball court gets slick with sweat and everything. Somebody might even spit on the ground. But that's why they have those guys that run out with those little towel mops and they sweep up the sweat after each play, after guys run down the court. So that's just going to happen. But as far as Nike taking a hit and all this other type of stuff, I don't think so, because I know Nikes. Everybody knows Nikes are made in sweatshops in China or some other third world country, and they're probably made by little kids. But I hate to say it, but I don't really care. I'm still going to buy Nikes. I'm a Nike head. I like Nike Air Maxes. Okay, I've been wearing Nike Air Maxes for a long time. I'm not going to change. To tell you the truth, I don't care if Zion Williams broke his leg and died right there on the court because of his Nike shoes. I don't care. Like I said, if he died right there on the court in a pair of Nikes because of the Nike shoes, I'm still going to buy Nikes. I'm sorry. I don't care. I'm still going to buy Nikes. It doesn't sound right and it's not cool, but I'm a Nike head and that's what we do. All right, keep going.
Agree that he was slipping and sliding a few times this season or what have you. Why? Because you're going to try to offset the hit that it will take to Nike. I don't think it's going to last. They're still the creme de la creme of the sneaker industry. Footwear industry, foot gear. We get that. But it's definitely a bad look. That's why their stock has dropped, albeit just 1%. It is still dropped. And obviously you got Zion Williamson and coming out of his shoe. The fashion in which the shoe crumbled upon him. I mean, when you look at that shoe, it's just a bad look. There's just no way around it.
Yeah, I still don't get it. I just don't get that this is a reflection on Nike. I mean, it just happened to be one defective shoe. It happens. How many times, you should be amazed that this doesn't happen more. How many times have we seen players wear shoes, run up and down the court throughout a whole season? It has to be millions of times a player worn a shoe, ran up and down, that you see on the court, on TV. You see it. And I've never seen anybody's shoe blow up like that. I've never seen anybody's shoe even tear. I've seen players' shoes come off, but that could be because they didn't tie it well enough. But this shouldn't be a hit or knock on Nike or even really any other big name brand type shoe, even though it didn't happen to them. I just don't see it as that happening. I just don't see that as happening for Nike, that it should be a knock. So I don't know.
The problem with this question, and I'm not coming at you, Molly, or anybody producing the show. The problem with the question is it's obvious. Yeah, it's a bad look for Nike. Of course, we all know that. Here's the question: should it be? Should it be a bad look for Nike? The first thing I thought of when I watched this, by the way, wasn't wow, what a crappy shoe. It was Zion just hulked out of his shoe. Like, that's the first thought. I mean, a shoe cannot hold him. That's what I thought. As you point out, Max, Zion he's all the things we've lauded all year long. He's improbable. We don't see guys like this big, this fast, this mobile. We do not have comps. We struggle to find who is Zion, who is Zion, who is Zion. Well, you know who Zion is? A guy that a shoe can't hold. How many thousands of times?
He's right about that. Will Kane is right about that. But one thing I was thinking about is, can you imagine all the free Nike gear that they get at Duke? Can you believe? Could you imagine how much free Nike gear they must get? All the free shoes, all the free pants and shorts and jackets and sweaters, and I mean, all the free Nike stuff. Can you imagine? I heard at the University of Oregon, the Oregon Ducks, the home of Nike, I heard those guys get Nikes out the yin yang. I heard it to the point that the Oregon Duck football team was using Nike as a crutch to sign players. I heard that if you sign with the Oregon Ducks, the football team, that you get Nike gear for life. Yeah, I said that. I heard that football players, if they sign with the Oregon Ducks, that they get Nike gear for life. Can you imagine? That means you could be, if something happens to you in your life, you become a dirty, nasty bum, you're living on the streets, you will always be fresh. You will always have some clean Nikes on. You will always have some clean Nike shirts, pants, or something to wear. Now, I don't know if they're going to get Nike gear, they can get thousands of dollars of gear every year. They might get a pair of shoes or two a year for the rest of their life, and maybe a pair of shorts or two, every year for the rest of their life. I don't think it's going to be out of control free gear, but just to have that is crazy, especially if you're a Nike head. But even just going to university while you're a player there, can you imagine all the gear that they get? I heard that's their Nike test ground. If they have any type of shoe, any type of cleat, any type of Nike equipment, any type of Nike shorts, it's all tested through those players. All tested. Oh, God. I'm a Nike head, so just bear with me. But anyways, let's keep going.
A week. How many hundreds of times a night in the NBA or in college basketball is a cut made in a Nike shoe? And how many times does it blow up? I'm not looking to defend Nike. I don't care about Nike. Hell, I wear Adidas and Pumas these days.
Yeah, you do. Okay,
but I don't...
With fat laces like we did back in the day.
Yeah, you do. Such a New Yorker now.
So for you guys or people that don't know, Molly Quarium Rose, her husband, who's just Jalen Rose, I think he just signed a contract with Pumas. So, they're going to be Puma'd out, her and Jalen. And that's why she's hyping up that Will Kane said he wears Pumas. So, just a little side note. Let's carry on.
When I'm not
you
wearing
got the leaves with the crease down the middle and the Latigre too?
Yeah.
When I'm not wearing ML Letty cowboy boots, that is.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I don't want to be a corporate shill, but I'm also a guy for statistics and probability. This here is not a high probability incident. There's no reason to everybody all of a sudden freak out about Nike. It's Zion Williamson, for God's sake.
Hold on. Wait a minute. You may be right about that, Will. You may be right about that, Max. But don't just put it on Zion Williamson. One of my boys, Champ, just sent me a video a little while ago showing Manu Ginobili's shoe busting open on him a few years back as well. So Zion Williamson is an entirely different build than Manu Ginobili, but it happened. So
and
it's
Stephen
not about Zion Williamson.
Was that Nike
it's about the footwear.
Stephen A., was that Nike too?
I believe it was. I'm not sure.
Yeah, guys, real quick, to your point, and I made the point earlier, it's kind of like the spectacle of Zion Williamson. Like, oh my God, he busts out of his shoe. You said like the Incredible Hulk, right? Like when he's ripping the clothes. Once upon a time, Daryl Dawkins would shatter backboards, right? And then, like, what happens when a guy comes along and do that? They improve the technology. Really. Yeah. Like the upshot of this may be that Nike's going to have put some money into research and development and some advertising campaign about how they can make a sneaker that can hold Zion Williamson, right? Like that's what happens.
Sounds like
someone like Shaq.
That's exactly right, Max. So if Nike plays their cards right, they could probably make profit off of him busting out of his foot or busting out of his shoe. if they play it right, like I said, they could have some type of, I don't know, commercial where he busts out of a shoe and, try this new shoe. You can't bust out of it. Even Zion Williamson can't bust out of it. If they play their cards right, they can maybe come out on top with this. So, but I don't know, just this horror deal. I don't think Nike's bad. I don't think they're going downhill. I don't even think that it is an issue with their quality control of their shoes. I just think it's a freak accident by a monster player, Zion Williamson. I'm happy he's okay. I'm happy he didn't get hurt or anything like that. I know earlier I said if he died on the court with a pair of Nikes, I would still buy those Nikes. I don't want that to happen. I'm just trying to emphasize how much I like Nikes. I'm a Nike head. So, I don't know. I'm glad everything's cool. I'm still going to buy Nikes, and I bet you Adidas is jumping on this to hate. All right, let's continue on. It's almost done.
Brings down the stanchion.
Nike will be,
I'm not
Nike
hating.
will
It
be
looked
just
cheap,
fine.
though, guys.
Nike will be just fine. The quality of their products are undeniable. They are the standard for a reason. They're exceptional. But last night.